what's really interesting is that, and here in Illinois, we've been doing this for, I would say, we probably been doing this for the past 15 some odd years, where literally our after school program is only ran by men, especially if they come from like a single parent home. Only men and certain men that we pick are involved in this. Now, there are women there to help out in certain aspects. Once girls start to get to a certain age, they go through certain changes, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as like getting a hold of the kids, we only work with ones between, like, let's just say the age is like, you know, when they start like let's say sixth grade on up to probably 24, 25 years old. And the reason being is because if you think about and you see who the system is targeting, those are the ones that we go after as well. So if they're trying to implement certain types of ideologies and narratives into the school system, those are kids, and that's the age that we go at, because they know that's when they're actually open, they can be actually impressed upon real easy. So the reason why I'm saying that is because we literally have things written out, and we have contracts, and we have a right to take care of business. I do not play around when it comes to kids. Like, we discipline and we whoop them. Some of y'all might agree with it, some of y'all may not, but we have 3 people in there along with a camera to make sure that we're correcting behaviors, because that's where it all starts at. If you can get rid of us, if you can get rid of their behaviors, certain type of attitudes at an early age, and that will be something that you won't have to worry about later on down the road. And the reason why I'm saying is because our biggest push is the complete opposite of what we see out there. So a lot of things, and I'm just being honest with you guys, a lot of things that I hear in the internet streets and the world that we're teaching them, they don't see that. They don't see this modern woman that a lot of you speak about on the internet. One of the things we do, they don't have computers in their home, nor do they have phones. Right. And the reason is because they can get on there and be easily influenced by a whole lot of this. And I'm not just saying, hey, because sometimes my mentees, I have them watch the Lapeef Network, and we use this to do actually a little rap session over to see what ideas they like, what ideas they didn't like, to see if the certain people that actually consistently come on the Lapeef or on other platforms, do these people stay consistent in what they talk about? Because the kids will judge that, because we're supposed to be as being a representation and supposed to be coming up with solutions of what we have for them. But yet at the same time, they watch closely to see if people actually change, if they actually able to carry those out. So what I'm saying that for is our biggest push and our biggest focus is about relationship before it's even about careers, period. Because that was the first thing that was formed anyway, was relationships. If you're a believer, the first thing God put together was Adam and Eve. He didn't sit there and say, well, I want you to do this and have this, and she got to have all these standards. It was family first, and those things came afterwards, right? So when these kids grow up in this program, we really push these men. We teach them to be men. We teach them to be husbands. We teach them to be fathers, and that's the order we want them to go in. We teach the young girls to be young women. We teach them to be wives. We teach them to be mothers. Now, what's interesting about that is over the course of 15 years, we have a huge success rate with them. They're all, well, not all, but the ones that actually decide to get married, they're still married. They became husbands. They became great wives. It works really well. But the thing is, it's not going to work if you don't get them at a young age. And it may seem like it's a bad thing to say. Certain people that are at a certain age right now, whose minds are made up, is going to become more of a, I think this, I think that. They're already set in their ways. It's kind of hard to change them if they're not trying to change. So I just do know that at a young age, that's the fertile point to get them right now and produce growth out of that. So I want to add that in there.
So you guys are basically the village that I was talking about earlier. Am I hearing that correct?
Yeah, we do not play around. I mean, guys, I'm talking to the point to where these mothers sign the contracts where we tell them, when we do this, if your child come home, Mr. Ty, I don't like him no more. Mom, don't you sit there and say, what do you do? He better know. You have to be, well, hey,
Nas, do you not like kids getting whoopings or something?
I don't. I
was watching you like, you look like you were shaking in your seat, like, oh,
no, I don't. I think it's so unnecessary, right? There are certain extremes where it might be required, but I think there's a lot of steps skipped before getting to that point. And here's the thing: I've stated this. I'm not a parent, but I am the oldest of 7 children, so I do have some experience parenting, right? With my youngest brother, there's 20 years between him and I. That child has more respect for me than the parents that did whoop him. I've never laid hands on him. He picks his repercussions. If he does not follow up on the things that he says, he already knows what the repercussion is because he's chosen it for himself. That kid has never disrespected me. He's never talked to me crazy. He's never not honored. He's never now in his teen years not honored his word when it comes to me. I've had more respect and success from him than my parents have, and they've laid hands. They've whooped him. Whoopings, I think, are like unless it's an extreme scenario where that child is incredibly combative, is like, listen,
but that's also, do you think he got whooped the least or not, didn't get whooped because he had 6 other siblings to help raise him? No 2 kids get the same parents, you know that. It's parental experience.
I understand that, right? Like my parents were significantly older with him than they were with me. I'm the oldest, right? So like that we're at opposite ends of the spectrum. I understand that. But at the end of the day, as a fellow African, you know that the oldest child's responsibilities are not the same as the others, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, he didn't get as many whoopings as we did, but the respect level that I get between what the parents get from laying hands with him and the types of conversations we have about what is appropriate behavior, what isn't, choosing his repercussions, him reiterating to me how we got here when it's time for repercussions. His critical thinking skills are vastly more advanced than mine were at his age because of upbringing, right? So we jump to whoopings like it's still a life and death situation out here for most people, and we're not teaching we're raising sheep. When you're enforcing whoopings over real conversations, over like real consequences that are correlated to the problem that was caused in the first place, if you're not doing that, if you're not teaching them the thought process behind things, you're creating sheep instead of independent thinkers, instead of leaders.
Hold on. Can I jump in real quick, real Mike, to that? You know, so what I want to say to that is, here's the thing: is that most people will do that, but then what I say is this: if you are spanking without no discipline or correction in there, then that's completely wrong, because all the child see is pain. But at the same time, I mean, I'm just telling y'all, you don't know this, but the AMA, we all know this that went through med school. Do you know that certain places that we had to do our residencies at, that these people who considered to be mentally ill behavioral wise, do you know what they respond to really well? If they're trying to attack, you know what they respond to well? Pain. They respond to pain. They get it. They get that if they keep on trying to harm you or harm others, if they get inflicted with some pain, their brain lets them know, I can't continue to do this, because if I do, pain is inflicted. Now, it's not done to abuse them. It's done to correct an action, right? So again, I understand, like all of our kids don't get it because some of them don't require it, but there are some that do. And when it does happen, like I said, the fact that we actually got legislation to show that we can show this on camera, and we have 3 witnesses right there to show that we're not abusing the child. Now, all the ones that came out like that, let's just say out of our 100 kids, and like 30 of them got this spanking, not one of them to this day will come up and say, I think that was abuse. They all say, thank you. That helped me. They helped shape my character. If this wouldn't have happened, it's got to correct. I know I would have done this. I know my mom couldn't do it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it all comes down to the kid. My 2 sons who are 21 and 19 years old right now, my youngest one, he got it more than the older one. The older one, I can look at him, give him a look, he'll start crying. The younger one, he needed some pain inflicted, get some understanding. So, I mean, I get it. Not everybody is the same. You know, I completely understand that some of the kids can be talked to